Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. This episode is brought to you by Addo Aesthetics, the #1 coaching company for aesthetic professionals wanting to step into the role of spa CEO. And I am just thrilled to have Giovanna, who's the founder of PDO Max, on to chat about a really incredible product. And I can speak from personal experience. We're going to talk about AfterGlo today. And I did the treatment on myself. We actually just got back from an event that we had in Florida. And you guys, you may or may not know, but Christy is somebody on our team. She does all of our customer support, and she really allows me to put one foot in front of the other. She is such a tremendous support. We had her on the kitchen table after our event. And it was myself and Sarah and Em, who are 2 one-on-one coaches on our team. We all kind of had Christy surrounded, and I dermaplaned her. And then I did the AfterGlo with the Glowpin. So we're basically needling in this the AfterGlo serum. And Christy looked so beautiful, so dewy. She's gorgeous anyways, but the next day you were just like, wow, that skin looks amazing. So I had the same experience, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear kind of the behind the scenes of what this product is for you to potentially bring into your practice and be able to serve your clients and solve problems in a different way. And also just to understand what is out there in the market, because one of the things that I just love about this industry is that it's always growing, evolving, changing. We've got to stay on top of the trends to be able to serve our clients in the highest way. So let me do a quick read of Gio's bio, and then we'll jump right into that interview. A visionary entrepreneur with over 30 years in the aesthetic industry, with a focus on medical aesthetics, Giovanna has always been ahead of the curve in the aesthetics industry. After forming several successful hair salons, it was in the 1990s that she decided to design and build the first medical aesthetic day spa of its kind in upstate New York. It was in 2017, after spending time in Italy alongside top plastic surgeons, she recognized that PDO threads are an innovative procedure that would fill a void in the U.S. aesthetic market. She conducted substantive research and review of literature to determine the best thread and barb designs, and searched high and low to partner with an ISO-certified manufacturing plant in South Korea to create her thread designs. In January 2020, Giovanna's company, PDO Max, became one of the few companies who had a fully FDA-cleared PDO thread-in-cannula device, which are designed and manufactured in-house. So I love this company. I love the very pro-woman vibe. I love the support. And I think that there is just nothing as important as that. So I'm going to go ahead and play that interview and enjoy. All right, Gio, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. And gosh, I'm really excited for this conversation, because I feel like what you guys are putting out on the market is kind of that next super cool thing.
Yeah, we're very excited.
So we first met in person at the Blue Ocean Aesthetics at the Roar event.
Yep.
Sat down. You were so easy to talk to. We're both Italian. We immediately were just like, okay, here we go. Here we go.
Yep,
family.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the talk that you gave on stage, you have such a passion and a really unique career path. Let me start with, why don't you share how you got interested in the world of threads to begin with, kind of what threads are for people that are in a non-medical environment, to understand that. And then maybe we can kind of transition into how this kind of transformed into AfterGlo, which is one offering.
Absolutely. It's quite the path, because as you well know, my background is aesthetics and cosmetology. So to go into the medical side of it was unusual and different. So I've been in the industry, I'm 57. I've been in the industry 40 years, and I've seen it evolve. And I was in medical quote unquote medical aesthetics, because aesthetics went more medical over the last 20 years. And obviously that left out estheticians that didn't go to nursing school, but we really were what built the industry. And unless you've been in it 40 years and have seen the progression, you would think that it was all the nurses and all that. But really, medical aesthetics started in aesthetics. We were allowed to do lasers back in the day. We still are for some states. You actually, back in the day, could inject, could do all that. So I always was interested. I always trained on it. Not that I actually did the procedures because they were medical, but I always stayed in front of the pack for my clients and always referred them to who I felt were the best for the medical side of it.
I think it's really important for estheticians. I mean, it's my personal beliefs that estheticians should not inject.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
But I think that, that's way out of our scope, but I think we should understand it. And I think we should be able to have an intelligent conversation about what, what it's doing, what it's for, how we combine it with the therapies that are in our scope.
And that's why I always stayed ahead of it. So once things got super medical, I hired a medical director and he started doing that stuff. And we went to a thread training. And when I saw what threads could do, and when I saw the lack in training, but yet I've been training people for years in our realm, I'm like, threads are never going to make it in the United States if somebody does not get the training under control. When the threads were first introduced, they were introduced in needles, not cannulas. So we really went back to the drawing board,
Explain what threads are. So
threads are, they're used two different ways. There's lifting threads for the actual lifting application, but there's also smooth threads. And this is what I became passionate about when you've done skin for 40 years. And I saw what smooth threads could do to skin quality was pretty amazing. There was nothing so truly, it's not super invasive. It's pretty non-invasive for the smooth threads. They're put in that hypodermis layer. So just when I saw over the months what it did to people's skin, it was like, wow, this is like laser on crack. It's like anything we do on crack. It's just, and now after learning the science, I understand why. It's because they're hydrophilic.
But it's an actual thread placed in the skin, lifts, stimulates your own collagen.
Yep. And the other ones I'm talking about are smooth threads just placed in that hypodermis layer. And as they dissolve, they create collagen and elastin and micro fibroses that self-resolve, but that is what strengthens the skin.
So threads are not for everybody. The people that get them love them, but there does tend to be some bruising, which is normal. Depending, and just like when you get fillers, there's always an opportunity. There's always a chance that you're going to bruise, right? You're dealing with living tissue. But when you were giving that talk at the Roar event, what I thought was so interesting is that you took that material and the benefits of that and put it into a serum that can be needled into the skin.
Yes.
And that for me, because I personally am not going to get threads, at least right now in my life. I'm 42. I don't feel like that's something that I necessarily need right now. But when I heard about like the science and the collagen stimulation and all of that, the idea of needling into my skin, this ingredient, I was like, wow, this is really, really something special and cool that can help so many different people that maybe are not ready for that next step yet.
Well, and that's exactly one of the reasons I go back to when I saw what the smooth threads did. But the smooth threads are what cause most of the bruising. It's not the thread lifts, because the thread lifts, they use lidocaine. Would that be, that's actually minimal bruising. It's the little needles. And, you need hundreds of them to really give you a good glow. And so my theory was, well, if we can inject the actual needle, if we take those threads and polymerize them to to the micron size that they can, be microneedled in topically. Keep it topical, because that's really, at the end of the day, what do we see physically? That's the exterior, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we can create that kind of result, minimally invasive, just topical, and it works. It is amazing. It honestly even outperformed my beliefs. The people who have been using it, the clients who have received the treatment, they're excited about it. They come back in because my son owns 3 med spas. And when he said to me, they actually call and ask for microneedling with PDO Glow. That, if you've been in the industry as long as we have, that means everything.
So would you, if you're looking at this, like the positioning of this treatment, would you say it's like an alternative to microneedling with PRP or, something along those lines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people who have been using it have said to me that they're not microneedling in PRP anymore. AquaGold, whatever your AquaGold serum was. It's something that if you want to cocktail this with something else, you can, but I don't see the need. The results we're seeing with just this alone are pretty impressive. Obviously, if you want to add your 20 units of Botox for people who are sweaters, but we're seeing even reduction in the size of pore size, and we're seeing reduction in acne scarring. So Dr. Emmer uses this pretty religiously now in a lot of his procedures. The healing they're seeing post CO2, post microneedling RF, post erbium. So you use this product two different ways. You either microneedle it in during the microneedling procedure, or use the Glowpin or something of that effect, a stamper, to stamp it, or you use it post any heat treatments. PDO as a product is pretty anti-inflammatory. So again, if you understand the science of PDO, a PDO suture, you can take the science, bring it over and go, okay, it makes sense. The polymers.
So similar how you would be doing like a PRP bath after
Yep, 100%, just post-treatment. If any type of microchanneling, post-microchanneling, to help get absorbed in and lock it into that tissue. Medical director.
This is a question I have for you, and maybe you can help me here, because when I grew up in medical aesthetics, we were taught that you only used saline to needle in. And it was like risk of granuloma and all of those things. You only use saline. And now as the industry has evolved, I know there's a lot of like elastin came out with nectar, and there's different products, or we're seeing things like this that are being recommended to be needled into the skin. How has the technology, is this because these are safe to inject? Like where is that piece for people that are old school like me that are like, oh my God?
I think you nailed the nail on the head. If they're safe intradermally, they're going to be safe topically. So yeah, you're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing Sculptra microneedled in, you're seeing, but at the end of the day, this is a simple product, HA and PDO powder. Both of those are safe, very safe. Actually, PDO threads, in the years I've sold the threads, I've yet to see a granuloma. So that it's a very safe internally. So externally, it can't be, you're taking the science and using it externally. But again, that's why we say you don't need to go deep. You don't need to, it's just, you want it at that topical level just to really feed that skin. Same place you put vitamin C, glutathione, stuff like that.
So this is the Glowpin. This is the stamper that you guys, I actually just did a treatment myself like 3 days ago. And I feel like my skin is full and plump and feels like dewy kind of. It feels really nice. I really enjoyed it. Is the depth that is this 0.5 or what is
0.5 considered topical? Yep. No
Okay.
deeper. We won't sell anything deeper than what's considered topical because it's not needed. What we find is your typical mentality in our industry. If topical's good, deeper's better. Not necessarily. The whole idea is to stimulate that epidural level. I'm not looking for that deep. That's for, if you're going to go deep, you're going to want threads put in the hypodermis. You're going to want the lifting threads. This is really to do what you just described. What people absolutely love about the PDO glow is that glow, that immediate glow that lasts. It lasts. That dewiness that we've been searching for. And this is where I tell you it's exceeded my expectations, because I expected, a thicker dermis and things like that. But the long-term glow that I'm seeing doesn't surprise me, because that is what the threads under the skin do. So the threads under the skin, we tell people, the results that you're seeing immediately are more from the swelling and from what we create like a mesh. So there's that like structural support, but the long-term effects 2 months out, once that thread starts breaking down, is when you get the skin difference. Well, by polymerizing it, we did that immediately, right? And the glow is outstanding. And that's what the people love. And I don't know how long you've been in the industry. I go back to, I've been in the industry 40 years. I've never seen a product that really gives you that long-term glow, that you feel like you need to do something every 2 weeks. With this, you don't. You literally look good for a month to 3 months after. What we're seeing is, the people who have really glycogen problems, the diabetics, the ones that they're even seeing results. I like this product in our older clients because they see that immediate plumping that they haven't seen in years.
So let's talk about scope of practice, because this is when you're dealing, if you are an esthetician in a state that you're allowed to microneedle at what they call a cosmetic depth, are you able to use this product, or do you have to be in a medical environment?
No, you'll be able, it's topical. It's considered topical. We don't tell people to inject it. It's not an injectable. It's no different than microneedling the HA that comes with the microneedling devices. So it's at that therapeutic cosmetic.
So anybody, as long as it's within the scope of practice in your state, you are able to use it. You don't have to be in a medical environment.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's just as good in the medical environment because it can be used post-laser and all that. But absolutely. And the reason I brought this product to market is for estheticians. I think we get forgotten in the mix. I think that everything's gone so medical that they forget.
Like every year, it's like the scope of practice is different. The states are changing, and to be able to keep up with where, so I got licensed in Hawaii in 2006. And in Hawaii, you could do light laser devices. That's what I learned on. That's what, and
right. Same here.
Then as I've, now in DC, just since I've been living in DC, the law has changed where estheticians are not able to do scope of practice, or those particular things. So for me, practicing and being married to someone in the military and moving 12 times, that was what started my entrepreneurial journey, because I was like, if we move to a state where I can't do the things that I know how to do, it's going to affect my pay. It's going to affect all of these different things. So it's really hard to keep up with.
What's interesting is when you say scope of practice, I don't think it's really changed. I think that we've always pushed the envelope a little bit. It's like in New York, like I said, I started seeing it's interesting. You don't start seeing the changes at the licensing level. You start seeing the changes at the insurance level, if you've ever noticed. All of a sudden, you can't get insured for certain things, right? So
they do in states, they will have this is considered a medical service, right, like a class A or a class, what.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. What I noticed at first is, I could do all that stuff. I was trained, same as you. I actually was a laser trainer. And all of a sudden I couldn't insure for anything but light therapy. And you're like, okay, what's changed? So it's almost like they control the industry first through the insurance, and then they'll come down with scope again. It's like, well, it was really never in your scope. It just wasn't explicitly mentioned. And I think because if it's not explicitly mentioned, people will do it. So I think it's more that they're really dialing in what your scope is. And that is why I wanted to bring a product to market that these girls can make money on, that is within their scope, and it works, it gives results.
Well, and I've noticed that, especially in the past 10 years, there's been a big growth of these kind of what I'll call med spa light. Like maybe they're doing treatments that in one place would be like microneedling or like, different, but they're not doing the heavy duty lasers or things like that are done in derms or plastics offices. And there's a lot of those people that are focused on results oriented, that are, that are really wanting to solve problems for their patient's skin, but just not getting so deep into the other aspects. And I think that the tools, as technology evolves in our industry, what we're capable of doing without crossing any boundaries that are going, we're still dealing, with epidermis is really incredible and amazing.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that was my real goal, is knowing that in other countries, the smooth threads could be done by estheticians and by non-medical providers. I knew that would never be allowed here because you can't stick a needle as SD in somebody's face, at that hypodermal level. It's like, how can I get the polymer in people's hands to give results? And I really think this was the way.
Amazing. So it can be, is 0.5 the like magical depth, or can it be nano needled in, or if you do have, I know you mentioned before, if it's, say you're dealing with acne scarring, depending on, the depth of the scarring, I know the protocols for acne in some locations, it was like you would go down to 2. Would you suggest?
What I would do is, if they're able to microneedle at 2, you would microneedle at whatever depth and then apply it so it absorbs in. So you're not driving it in.
So you're applying it after.
I don't want to, we go back to, keeping it within the scope. If your scope is, you can microneedle that deep, go for it. But this product should be injected that deep. So then you would use it as a serum, post serum, whatever, you'll still get your results. I
know you guys have trainings for all this. It just is like so interesting to me, this new, like throughout the industry. I love that, like, there's always something new to learn. There's always some new technology. There's always some new advancement. We can never know everything that there is to know about skin. So yeah, thank you for bearing with me and answering all these, but I know you guys do have like a pretty robust training portal as well, that you're training on all of the different, the threads and whatnot that you guys are offering.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're, like I said, we really wanted to be able to include the estes in the whole thread love, without it affecting their scope.
So if we can just spend maybe just 5 minutes, I want to get a little bit more into the actual science of PDO. Like, what is it?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it. Like, so that I know we have a lot of SD nerds.
So do you want me to go to the back, all the way back to how PDO threads?
Like evolved? When you were talking on stage at the Roar event, I was like just eating it up. And I feel like you went really into the science of it.
We're dealing with doctors there, so they want science. Yeah. So we'll talk about how the PDO threads get known to make skin quality great. PDO threads have been used in pediatric heart surgery for 30, 40 years, maybe even 50. And the reason they're used in PDO heart surgery is in neonatal heart surgery is because it doesn't cause thick scar tissue. So babies' veins, hearts, they have to keep growing. So they use PDO because it's known not to cause hypertrophic scarring in those areas. And what happened is, as time went on, the next phase was you had acupuncturists who decided to embed PDO while they were doing acupuncture. And what happened is when their patients came back, so how did that work? They stuck the needle in, and what they found is that it released the pain knots, and they put the thread in so that it was long-term lasting. So the thread would irritate that area and keep that pain gone. And they're still using it in pain management, not here in the United States, but over in Korea. So what they found is when they brought those people back, the skin where they embedded all these threads was just beautiful. So no different than how they found out Botox worked. It was never meant to be an aesthetic product.
It was treating cross-eye, right? It was
exactly. They were treating, and all of a sudden they noticed there were no wrinkles. So it's the same thing. It was, nobody studies products for aesthetics. The money's spent to be done for a medical purpose. So in Korea, they started using these threads for anti-aging and suspension. It's suspension threadless. They've been doing them for years. Before they did them with permanent sutures, and they were a nightmare. And then when PDO became popular, they started doing it with PDO. As the thread dissolves, it leaves around the thread a change in the tissue. And it brings elastin, collagen to that area. And like I said, microfibrosis. It doesn't leave the type of fibrosis that is scarring, true scarring, unless it's placed in the wrong layer, whatever. Obviously, there might be a small percentage of the population that doesn't have that. We all heal differently. But the microfibrosis is then what strengthens that tissue. And that goes away. The microfibrosis then goes away after a year. That's why when people talk about thread lifts, they're like, well, when the thread's gone, no, the lift is still there because of that microfibrosis. That microfibrosis is your collagen, elastin in that area. And then after about a year, it goes away. So you've got the threads in there for a year, the microfibrosis in there for a year. And so you're getting that. And if you really think about it, anything we do in aesthetics that changes the quality of skin has to create microfibrosis.
Mm-hmm. Controlled injury.
Controlled injury. Bingo. That's what you're getting, a controlled injury. And also then back to the science. PDO, if you were to look at the polymers, and we have them on the website, the difference in PDO, PLLA, PCL, is the PDO polymer is almost like a perfect pearl. So that's why it doesn't cause a lot of irritation, a lot of redness, and it's naturally anti-inflammatory. Again, why it's used in neonatal heart surgery. So that natural anti-inflammation is what you're already starting to feel. You've already started helping your skin with the reason we age is inflammation. The reason we get sick is inflammation. It's the same thing. This brings in the non-inflammatory healing properties, and it does it right away.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. So let's talk about pricing and profit margins for those that want to bring this service in. So what is there any type of standardized pricing that for these treatments? Are we pricing it similar to PRP with microneedling? What are we
basically? A 10 ml vial is usually enough for 2 to 3 treatments. This 10 ml vial sells to the practice for $125. So let's say you only get 2 uses. Let's say worst case scenario, you get 2 uses. That's what, $60, $250 a treatment. We have clinics charging anywhere from $250 to $450 as an upcharge to the actual microneedling. So yes, similar to whatever your PRP is and what your demographics are.
Okay. So you would, if you're charging, $350 for a microneedling treatment, you would add an extra $350 or $250
$250, $350, $400. Now,
Okay.
if you were to use the Glowpin, I'm sure a lot of your accounts know what AquaGold is.
Mm-hmm.
The price of AquaGold is pretty up there. Same thing, you fill up the thing, you pop it in. The beautiful thing about this is it's got a spring in it. So it's a product dispenser as well as a stamper, which no one else has, where you can actually push the product through. So it's a 2-piece, little needles on here, dispenser here, put it together. This retails for, I believe, $45. Okay. So it takes place of using microneedling. So how much are microneedling tips today? They're in the 85 to 100 range. If you add this, you just add another, instead of microneedling it in at $250 and then adding the $250 upcharge, charge $400, $500 and be done with it. But you're going to be using this. Somebody after IPL. So IPL is probably the only thing you couldn't use our product with before. Now you can IPL and do this afterwards. Mm-hmm. So lots of uses, like you're going to be able to use it in every part of your practice.
That's great. And if somebody, say you're using the vial you said has 2 to 3. So that's face décolleté.
Chest and neck. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how we created it for that way. But a lot of people don't want their neck and décolleté done. So you do 2 faces with it, let's say.
And how are you storing this? Where does it, like, say you do 1 patient and you still have half a vial, does it need to be refrigerated? Are you
absolutely refrigerated and then dispose of it after 2 weeks?
Refrigerate and dispose after 2 weeks. Okay, cool. And how long does it last in
2
the
years
box before it's open? 2 years.
It's a 2-year expiration. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And it's sterilized. It's a sterilized product. Even though we're only applying it topically, we made sure it's sterilized. And we have seen, up to this point, we have seen 0 issues with it. The only issues is if people have called me up and said, well, I did it at 2.5. Well, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing it at 2.5 depth. It doesn't need to be done. It's not what it was intended for. It's really intended for topical so that you get what you got, that glow with it. It's perfect for pre-wetting, I don't want you to be so beat up with this product.
And are these, is it recommended in, a series of X amount in X intervals
I would do 1 a month for 3 months. And as I told you earlier, it takes a full 3 months. I didn't tell you earlier, but that product will take 3 months for it to be gone from the original session. So I would do 3 months and then I wouldn't do it again for 6.
Okay.
And then maybe do another 3. So it's not something I'd want somebody to do every 2 weeks or I know that sounds terrible from a sales perspective, but it works. So you're not having to do it too often. Definitely pre-wedding, they're going to love their skin.
I noticed for me when I did it, my skin was definitely rosy after. Mm-hmm. I tended to turn bright pink anyways. But it calmed down and it wasn't anything, I did it before bed, I did my face, did all my things and hung out for about an hour before I went to bed. And the next day my skin was perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what's great about it. It's when I go back to when people ask for it by name for something that doesn't have brand recognition yet, mm-hmm. It's huge. 40 years in the industry, I'm going to go back to, I have yet to have picked up a product that does what this does so quickly.
So something that we are working on a lot this year for our listeners is providing opportunities, providing special offers, all kinds of cool things in the industry. And we've got a special offer with PDO Max where you guys are doing, it's $125 intro offer. How many glow pins do you get?
3.
So you get 3 Glowpins and one of the vials for $125. It's enough for 3 treatments. So you can try it yourself, see what you think, test it out, get the results for yourself. I mean, $125 is such a low investment to really get
to bring in $1,200 minimum.
Right. But
And
I think like for the provider, like even try it for yourself. See what it does. Get the testimonial. Like when you can see what happens in your own skin and then be able to speak from that, it's incredible.
And I go back to, this is why I created this. I wanted something that they could make a great ROI on that they can't get from anyplace else. And, everything is so expensive today. When we talk about technology and all that, we forget that sometimes it's not just the technology that can create change. It's a product. And I wanted to introduce it in a way that it was affordable for the smaller practices, the smaller SDs, but be able to give an amazing result and make money. Because it saddens me to see how the estheticians are being left behind when they are the ones that take care of people's skin. They know skin. You can say whatever you want, whatever. They know skin. And
when I was in derm offices, it was the estheticians knew more than, the derms know like rashes, all of it. And they're brilliant at that. But when it comes to skincare, it's almost an artistry to really understand.
It is 100%. And I don't think that estheticians are given the kudos on how much they do know about skin. And for me to have brought a product to market after 40 years in the industry for that realm and the medical realm and be able to marry it, you can't beat it.
So we've got a link below the show notes. If you guys are interested, you just send your information. You will need your license number, all of that. But that is a special offer through Addo Aesthetics with PDO Max that you can test this out, get for $125, you can get a vial with 3 treatments and 3 Glowpins to test out either on your staff, on yourself, on your patients, whatever you want to do to see the results for yourself and consider bringing this into your practice.
And I've already had people ask me, can they reuse the Glowpin? Absolutely not.
No.
It's a sterilized product. It's a one and done. It's needles. It's not to be reused. We brought it to a price point that is very low so that people don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, be sure to test that out, guys. Experience it for yourself. My skin feels amazing. Gio, thank you so much. Where else? We're going to send people to that link. What's your guys' Insta handle?
Mine is PDO Max _ Beauty Authority. Beauty Authority? I don't even know. Let me look real quick. Let me look, girl. Oh, hilarious.
We'll link it up. Whatever it is, we will link it up for PDO Max, for Gio, all of it. So make sure that you're following her.
PDO Max _ Beauty Authority. You can tell how much I worry about my Instagram thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.